Hey, I'm Tony Morelan, and this is POW, Podcast of Wisdom from the Samsung Developer Program, where we talk about the latest tech, new trends, and give insight into all of the opportunities available for developers looking to create for Samsung. On today's show, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to switch chairs, and I'm going to be the one being interviewed. I sat down with Charlotte Allen. She's the one in charge of our outreach, finding the best opportunities, and building the relationships that drive our developer program. Charlotte is also the person I called when I said I wanted to work for Samsung. Hope you enjoy.
Hi, Tony.
Hey, Charlotte.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm good.
Excellent.
Can I tell you I'm really excited to have the opportunity to interview you today?
Yeah, this should be fun.
So how long have we known each other? Maybe a year?
Yeah, that's actually a year and a half.
A year and a half. It seems like longer in some ways.
It does, but I think that's a good thing.
In a good way.
Yes.
So I'm excited because in the year and a half we've been working together, you've done so many amazing things.
Thank you.
And I'm excited for the community to get to know you and to learn about some of the things that you've done.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Tony.
Sure. So before I started working at Samsung, my entire career, I was a freelance graphic designer. I had a nice office at home. I got to work on a lot of nice projects. I got to set my own hours. I mean, really, it was a great gig.
Tell me a little bit about some of the cool projects that you worked on as a freelance designer.
Sure. Yeah, I did a fun project for Nokia. I did an animation for their conference.
Okay.
And they wanted some music to go with it. I don't know if you know the song, The Final Countdown.
The Final.
Yes, The Final Countdown by a band called Europe.
Right.
So they wanted that song. And I said, well, you can't just go and take that song. I said, however, how about I record a knockoff version of that song?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so musically inclined as well.
Yeah. So, back when I was a kid, I thought I was going to be a rock star and in the band and did that for about 10 years and realized,
Wow, so you had your own band?
Yes. Yep. And so when they said, hey, they wanted this song, I said, I can do that for you.
Cool.
The next year, they loved it so much, they said, come back and do us another one. So then they asked me to basically rip off a U2 song. And that was a lot of fun. I still managed to, plug in my guitar every once in a while. Even the music that you're listening to today on this podcast,
right? That's
my alter ego. That is,
no, are you serious?
The Atomic Tone.
The Atomic Tone.
So great opportunity here. I still get to, do a little recording and have a little fun. So yeah, all the music that you're hearing today is from the Atomic Tone. I was fortunate to actually get my start right around the same time that the internet was really starting to grow. I actually worked on HP's first website, but I would say, the craziest project that I worked on was I actually designed Madonna's first website.
So wait a second. So Madonna, the material girl, Madonna.
Yes, Madonna.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I was doing some work for Sony Music. The internet was totally new. They didn't even have a website for their music division, and they were wanting to bring their artists online. So I designed a site for Madonna, Bruce Springsteen, Ozzy Osbourne, even Britney Spears, a lot of the big names at the time. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
So the material girl, Madonna, how was it working with her?
Really, the only feedback Madonna kept giving for the website was make my picture bigger. So we would do rounds and rounds and rounds of the website, and Madonna's picture kept getting bigger and bigger.
I don't think anybody's going to be surprised by that, right?
No. When I think back, that was probably one of the most unique projects that I got to work on.
Wow. So tell me about your journey to Samsung.
How I got here.
How'd you get here?
Yeah, so that was unique also. I had no intentions of leaving my freelance gig. Truthfully, it was amazing. However, I came across an amazing opportunity. A friend of mine who was also a graphic designer knew about Samsung. She invited me to attend a workshop here at the campus in Mountain View, where they were going to teach about the software called GearWatch Designer.
It's since been changed to Galaxy Watch Studio.
It's the free software that Samsung makes available to designers to create interactive watch faces without doing any coding. As a designer, that was like all I needed to hear. And then when she said that there was free pizza, I thought, heck, why not show up? I mean, that sounds like a great evening.
So that's something we have in common.
Yes.
Free pizza.
Free pizza. You can never pass up on that. Interesting enough, that was when I first met you, because you were the one who was actually putting on this workshop. When I left that workshop that evening, I went home and actually stayed up all night creating my first watch face. You guys were kind enough to actually give me one of the watches. So I created this design, I put it on the watch, and I sat there and stared at it and thought, oh my gosh, I've just created this like interactive, moving, animated artwork that's sitting on my wrist. And knowing that I could then take that design and upload it to the Galaxy Store and start selling this, I thought, oh my gosh, what a great gig. I thought of it as sort of a fun hobby at the time, but I found myself over the next 6 months spending more and more time designing watch faces and then eventually becoming approved to design phone UI themes. When I learned about that, I just was so excited about this new way to be creative, to actually get my designs out and available seriously around the globe. I mean, that first time that I published a watch face, I woke up that morning and saw that I had a sale from Argentina, I had a sale in Russia, Mexico, United States, Korea. I mean, it was just amazing to see all these sales from around the globe. That just got me even more excited.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I personally have seen some of your designs, which are amazing.
Thank you.
So I talk a little bit more about your designs.
Yeah. So, when I started doing the artwork, I wasn't thinking so much like what's going to be a top seller. It was more, this was a creative outlet. I'm a huge fan of artists like Miro and Mondrian and Matisse. I love cars. I love industrial things. So I found myself being inspired by just things that I saw out in the world that could be turned into a watch face. So I was grabbing my phone and snapping pictures and getting inspired by all these, different unusual objects that I could turn into a watch face.
So is that what inspired my most favorite designs that I've seen of yours? And I remember there are these amazing car wheels and Ferraris or Jags or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. So I was at a stoplight and a guy in a Ferrari pulled up next to me. And I see his wheel and I thought, oh my gosh, it's like a perfect watch face. So that inspired me to create a watch face that I call Tesoro.
Tesoro. What does that mean? I like that.
In Italian, it means treasure, which I thought, hey, this is a great word. It was great inspiration for the watch. That watch face ended up becoming my top seller. What was nice was right around that time, Samsung started to take notice of my designs. They wanted to feature that design on a banner on the homepage on the Galaxy Store. It was huge. I mean, it was from that design that I really started to see, how much money can be made off of doing these watch faces. I then realized that I love this way too much. I started asking myself that question, could I go work for a company? Could I actually go into the corporate world? I mean, a lot of times people start in the corporate world and then they go home and they start doing freelance work. Well, I'm doing it reverse. Then the question was easy to answer, and that was yes. I wanted to do this. So I made a phone call, and that phone call was to who?
Me?
Yes, it was to you. I don't know if you remember that phone call.
Absolutely. I remember the phone call. You said, I want to come and work for you. And this is, I should say, after a number of conversations that we actually had already had, where you were providing some really great feedback to us about the design process, areas in which you could help. You'd even come to some of our follow-up meetings.
Yes.
And there you already were supporting some of the other folks who were also from the workshop and who are in the design process. So that was kind of this natural thing that started to happen.
Yeah, I found myself actually not only teaching the other designers that were invited to come to these meetings, but I was actually teaching the Samsung people how to use the software. That's when it gave me the confidence, like, yes, I could go work for Samsung because I knew I had something that I could offer.
Tell us about your role here at Samsung.
So my title is Senior Developer Evangelist, but I often tell people I'm a teacher. And there are different sides to that. So one side of being a teacher at Samsung is going out into the community. So I will speak at conferences, I will conduct workshops, I will teach at universities, lots of different ways to get it out into the community and teach how to design and create for Samsung. Here at the office, though, I am writing blogs, creating YouTube tutorial videos. We've now been doing this podcast series. We've also launched a webinar series. So a lot of different ways where I can help the community, but being here in the office. So it is all about assisting designers and developers on creating for Samsung.
Yeah, so you touched a little bit on something that I wanted to ask about, a webinar series, which is something that was just launched very recently, where you did just some amazing work. I mean, from building the studio, which is really cool. It gives a really cool vibe to our webinars, to coming up with a name, which is WOW.
Yes.
And talk a little bit about WOW. I'm sure everybody wants to know what that means. And then also the recent webinar you did.
Yep. Yeah, we launched this new webinar series called WOW, which stands for Webinars of Wisdom. And the idea is to not just teach, but do it in a very fun, sort of quirky way. So if you haven't seen any of the episodes of WOW, please go check them out. You can find them on YouTube. Just search Samsung Developer Program and just put in WOW and it'll show there. The latest webinar that we did was about how to become a Themes UI designer, what it takes. So you have to submit a portfolio of a mock-up of a theme, and once that gets reviewed and approved, then you get the ability to download the software and start creating themes.
And so WOW then led to what we're doing right now, which is POW. So POW, talk about what that means and a little bit about.
So POW is Podcasts of Wisdom. I mean, it took me off of about 2 seconds. You know, when we were done creating WOW, I thought, okay, we're gonna have to come up with something for podcasts. What could that be? And it was pretty quick. It just came up with POW, Podcasts of Wisdom. So lots of great plans with that. We're actually putting together our schedule already of all the interviews that we're going to be doing. So we'll be interviewing some internal people here at Samsung that can share a lot about our technologies and our processes and how you can be successful using our tools. But we're also going to be interviewing designers and developers that are already successful with Samsung. So we've already lined up quite an impressive list of people that I'll be interviewing on POW that can share their journey. How did they become a designer or a developer selling for Samsung? So super excited about that.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it as well. Another thing that you've worked on that I've been really impressed with is you've created some amazing tools to support designers. And the cool thing about you, Tony, is that you've been on both sides of the fence. You've been on the side of the fence as the freelance designer who attended our workshop. And now you're on the other side of the fence of knowing the kinds of challenges that designers sometimes face and have come up with some amazing solutions in the way of tools. And so if you can share some of those tools that you've put in place.
Yeah, for sure. The first tool that I created is called the Asset Creator. I noticed that when I was doing watch face designs, that I was spending just as much time creating the graphics that are needed on your seller page as I was creating for the watch face. So I needed to find a way to speed up the time that it takes to publish your watch face. The Asset Creator is a Photoshop template file that automates a lot of what is required when it comes to saving all of the different images. If you're interested, you can go to our website, which is developer.samsung.com. I actually wrote a blog and even created a YouTube tutorial video on how to use the Asset Creator. So you can just search Asset Creator in the search field, and there'll be a link for downloading the Asset Creator itself.
So Asset Creator, and I think there's recently another tool that you just created.
Yeah, so inspired by the Asset Creator, I created some lifestyle photos. The photos are unique pictures of the watch in use. So I've taken the watch and I've put it into unique backgrounds. So I've placed it on a leather jacket, or I've found some tech-looking, vent or a pipe, or just different lifestyle pictures of these photos. And what's unique is that you can just copy paste your watch face into the layer in Photoshop, and Photoshop will automatically position, add depth of field, blur. It will do all of the necessary adjustments to the picture so that it is embedded into the scene. So it's a huge time saver, lots of unique pictures out there. So again, you can find the lifestyle photos on our website going to developer.samsung.com.
So one of the important things that you said a couple of times with both of the tools is this time saver.
Yeah.
What kind of time are you talking about?
So I would say, I would spend half a day creating the assets for your seller page.
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted you to share. It is a huge time saver. So you've done so much already in just a year and a half. Anything we should look forward to?
Yeah. One of the things I'm most excited about, we're actually doing a partnership with the Art Institute of Dallas. So we're going to be conducting an 11-week course for the students there. That'll be really exciting. We're going to dive really deep into watch face designing, and all these students will get an opportunity to publish their designs and make those available to the world. So really excited about that. And we'll be doing some additional outreach. So I know that we're going to go to How Design in Boston this year. So that'll be a ton of fun. We're going to set up a booth. We'll have some interaction for people to come in and actually design watch faces on site. You know, in the past, we've gone to Adobe Max. That has been a wonderful experience, and we have plans of returning there again in 2020.
Yeah, I'm excited about both of those. How's new to us. We haven't been there before, but been planning what we want to do there. So it'll be really exciting. So hopefully we might be able to meet some folks there as well.
Yes.
So what's the biggest challenge with your role here at Samsung?
I would say public speaking. I mean, I'm a very chatty person, but I have not had much experience getting up on stage.
Really? Wow, Tony, I'm really surprised to hear that. I would not have thought that.
Then you must have forgot about the time that I bombed. We were hosting about 100 developers here at the campus, and I was asked to just give a short presentation. I mean, maybe 10 minutes. The presentation could not have been easier. I mean, all I was to do was talk about myself. I had just started at Samsung like 2 months earlier, and I was just going to show a few slides and talk about me as a designer and how I got to Samsung. Well, just before I was going on stage, I was in the back of the room, and a developer guy comes up, and he starts asking me about all these technical questions about our watch. I mean, I didn't know the answers. I'm a designer. I didn't know how many biometric sensors there were and the specs behind what they did. So he turns to me and he says, "I'm surprised Samsung hired you." So now I'm doubting myself. Was I qualified to do this job? And they announced my name to come up on stage. So I run up to the stage and I grab the clicker to start going through my presentation, and I grab it upside down. I click the button and I don't realize it, but I'm actually going backwards to the presentation that was given before mine. And I don't realize this. And I'm talking away, and then I turn and I look at the projection screen, and I realize I'm not even in my presentation. So I click the other button, but then I click it too many times, and I end up advancing like 3 slides into my presentation. And at this point, I'm just totally lost. I'm nervous, and I start to feel this wave of anxiety come over me. And I don't know what to think. I don't know what to say. And I just froze. I was looking at the audience, and they were looking at me. Honestly, it was the weirdest thing. I just could not function. Someone actually came up onto the stage and grabbed the clicker from me. And together we just bulldozed my way through the rest of my presentation. I mean, it was fine. I mean, looking back at it, I'm sure it wasn't as bad as I made it out to be. But, what it did tell me was that I needed to get some professional training in public speaking. So sign up for a few classes, and here we are a little over a year later. And this past year, I actually hosted the Samsung Developer Conference Awards show. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
So how can the community find you? Are you on social media?
Yeah.
If they want to reach out to you, possibly even see some of your work?
Sure. So when I started doing my watch face design, I created a brand name. That brand name is Axeir. So AXEIR.
I have to ask again.
Yeah.
Is there a meaning to Axeir, or?
Actually, no. I wanted a 5-letter domain name. If I can give a little advice, is pick a domain name that people don't have to ask you how to spell it. Unfortunately, with Axeir, people don't know how to spell that. So yeah, that wasn't the best choice. But you know what? I got the domain name. You can find me online under Axeir. Now on social channels, it's Axeir Buzz. So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just search my name, Tony Morelan. Happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. And another way that you can reach me is just through our website. I'm active on the forums, so you can go to our forums and post questions there, or you can just send email to support@samsungdevelopers.com.
So it's been a blast talking to you today.
Thank you.
I've learned some new things. I didn't really know how popular you were with all the stars, and but it's been great talking with you and working with you. And thanks for sitting down and taking some time to
Thank you.
let us learn about Tony.
Thank you.
Looking to start creating for Samsung? Download the latest tools to code your next app. Or get software for designing apps without coding at all. Sell your apps to the world on the Samsung Galaxy Store. Check out developer.samsung.com today and start your journey with Samsung.
The PAL podcast is brought to you by the Samsung Developers Program. Produced by Tony Morelan, with special thanks to Charlotte Allen, and music composed by The Atomic Tone.